What's good, YouTube? Just a casual nerd here, back again with another video. And today we're gonna do a movie review of Wakanda Forever. And what kind of movie was this? I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. But we're gonna do this. We're gonna try to get through this movie review today, guys. And if you read the thumbnail, you know that this review is coming from someone who actually liked the first Black Panther movie. I thought it was pretty solid. I enjoyed that movie theater experience. It's coming from someone who's actually a fan of Ryan Coogler's films. Well, every film I've seen of his has been good, from Creed to the first Black Panther, Fruitvale Station. You know, he hasn't failed me in any other sense, and I think everyone involved, they're genuinely good people. So it's never a dig on any of the actual, human beings involved in this. It's just a movie review. But this movie wasn't it, y'all. It wasn't it. I'm sorry to say, but I won't say I had high expectations. I just wanted it to be solid. I know it was gonna be a hard sell regardless, due to obviously Chadwick Boseman's passing. But not only did they not deliver to me, honestly, on top of that, I was rather, disappointed after leaving the theater. I definitely didn't have that same feel when I left the first movie, and not because it was a lot more, sad themes. Not because of that. It was because of the quality of the film. I feel like everything that made the first Black Panther good, or enjoyable to me at least, I feel like it was completely missing from this film, which I know it was gonna be. I knew it was gonna be a lot different anyway, since they decided not to recast T'Challa, which I think now is evident that was a mistake. I'm sure that was a way that they could have. There was definitely a way they could have done it, and it still have been a good film. But I think with what we got, it was kind of evident that maybe they should have. Well, unfortunate, of course, but recast the T'Challa role. And for those of you who don't know, I really don't have a script for these videos. I kind of just like to talk, just talk to you guys. So I apologize in advance if my thoughts and opinions are kind of all over the place a little bit. But that's kind of how we roll over here on this page. But yeah, so I think from the outset, honestly, this movie should have been pushed back. Especially if they had to rewrite the script or do major rewrites due to the passing of Chadwick Boseman, or if they even if they were going to recast somebody, it definitely should have been, push back, give some people some time. But I think this film, honestly, it really didn't feel like another MCU installment. It felt more like just a movie to honor Chadwick Boseman, which I'm not necessarily against doing that. But in my opinion, like I was telling one of my friends outside of this, if they were going to do that, what they should have done was maybe do a 30-minute Disney short, honoring, T'Challa and Chadwick Boseman, and done like maybe that quote unquote kind of funeral deal, in like a short. Just do like the honoring there, and then set up like the last scene of this short, with Shuri, if they want to go this route. Of course, I don't agree with it, but if they want to go this route, set up Shuri to be the next Black Panther in the next film. Instead, what it could have been like a 30-minute short, and for Disney Plus to honor him, it more so felt like a 2 hour and 41-minute movie. Doing so, there was a lot of emotion involved, and you could just feel that there was a huge gap missing with T'Challa not being present in this film. I think that was definitely felt. He was an anchor in the first film, which led to the problem in this film. Is basically all the what were the side characters in the first film were upgraded to being main characters, and that's already a hard sell especially when the main character of the first film is not even there. It just felt like a movie of a movie of side characters basically. And of course you want them to be fleshed out, but when they get too much screen time, you start realizing a little bit more of their flaws in their character, and it just didn't have the ability to carry a Black Panther film. Now, there's nothing against their acting ability. I mean, obviously you got like Angela Bassett, Letitia Wright, and we already know Angela Bassett could take a bad script and still act it out to the 10th degree. So she did well in her role. And Letitia Wright, she's not a bad actress. I just think with her role being upgraded from a side character to now a main character. It worked in the first one because she had limited amount of lines, limited amount of screen time. But when you're doubling and tripling that amount of time, uh, when you're doing that to a side character, it kind of takes away from what they were or what they were kind of established to be. Because she was a great character in all her other appearances in the MCU, but when it was mainly focused on her, it was kind of like the character flaws start showing up a lot more, and that's not the actress's fault. Just a position that it was put in. It was I'm sure an executive decision that was made on. But I just don't think it was a good decision. Again, if you had done like a Disney short, honoring T'Challa and then setting her up to be the Black Panther, and then in the actual movie, she's already the Black Panther. She goes straight out the gate being Black Panther. That may have been a little better because with this one, I mean, we basically waited 2.5 hours for her to decide. Okay, well, I guess I'll, be the Black Panther, or I've, accepted things. And it was just too long, too much of nothing, kind of just going on in the film for us to finally get to that. In the last 10 minutes, now we have the new Black Panther. It was just too little, kind of too little, too late at that point, and then the fighting wasn't even great when you finally got to that point. And then we also had the introduction of Riri Williams, who is, I believe, in the comics, basically the new Iron Man, but she's called Ironheart. I mean, let's be honest. They literally only introduced her character in order to launch her own either show or movie, because she was not needed in this movie, really at all. It just didn't make any sense. So they set her up to be the scientist who, quote unquote, makes a machine that can detect vibranium, and that's when Namor and I know they're not Atlanteans, but basically Atlanteans get involved. The Talokan, or I believe they were called. But basically while they get involved and they want to kill her because she's the one who invented it. But I mean, that didn't even make sense either, because if she's already made it, obviously they already have the blueprint, so they could just make more. So killing her doesn't do anything. Now, it would have been better if they had discovered that she was trying to make it and was almost doing it, and then they want to like take her or something. But then again, if they're already all the way in the ocean, like how would they know that someone is even working on it? So again, it didn't make sense. Her character was really just shoehorned in, and it's not that I even have a problem with her character per se, but it's just like it's like the MCU said, hey, we got this new Black Iron Man that we want to introduce. Like, where should we put him? It's like, well, there's a movie that's gonna be full of black people in Wakanda in this new Black Panther movie. Let's just put her there. And it just kind of felt like that's what they did, because she really just didn't belong in this film, unfortunately. And the CGI on her suit, it was so smooth that it just kind of felt like it was from a game and not from a Marvel movie. And even some of the fights, the CGI and the camera angle selections, it kind of made it hard to follow. So I just wish they took their time, did better with that. I mean, Disney has the money. I'm not sure why they're skipping out on that or rushing CGI artists when the quality is dipping at this point. It's just kind of, that part is just really unfortunate. And they had Riri Williams in that bridge scene. I mean, it looked like she has killed like a whole row of cops that was chasing them, but I mean, it was kind of weird because they weren't necessarily a antagonist. They were just, I don't know, it was kind of weird since they're supposed to be the heroes. In this, it just didn't make sense. Yeah. So with that being said, maybe I should probably finally talk about Namor, who is the antagonist or the villain of the film. But if you know from comics, he kind of goes back and forth from being like an anti-hero or the antagonist, protagonist, a very prideful kind of hero, or mutant rather. His character, I mean, there wasn't much to him, to be honest with you. It was kind of like, all right, you want to destroy the rest of the world because if they get the vibranium or they find more vibranium, you know what they would do. So you want to destroy them. You want Wakanda to help because they also have vibranium and they understand your plight. But if you don't help them, then we'll just destroy you guys first. So it was I don't know. The motives was just it was just kind of weird. It wasn't as strong as like you had with Killmonger in the first film. Like I did understand it. That it's not that I didn't understand it. It just was weak. In my opinion, it was pretty weak. And again, I know some of y'all might not like this comment, but hey, it is what it is. That's why I feel like if you had T'Challa there, this movie just needed a strong male lead to challenge Namor. I think that would just played out a lot better on screen, like saying T'Challa versus Namor. I think that the dynamic will just have made this movie just 10 times better. And it has nothing to do with me thinking whether a female hero can lead a film, because they obviously can. The way they've been writing them lately hasn't been good for some reason. But there's been plenty of female-led films where they're a strong protagonist character and it works. But for this one, you could just tell that was clearly missing. I think the T'Challa Namor dynamic, two kings battling different ideals. I think that would have been better. Of course, you had the queen and the princess, but they were still kind of getting over things, so you really didn't know what to actually care about in this film. But I feel like if that was just kind of cut out and you had two kings versus each other, they're two different secluded kingdoms, that would have been better. And also, speaking on Namor, now I'm not I'm not usually the type to talk about the body image and how certain character or certain the actors like look in the role. Usually is pretty okay or passable, but I kind of do see what people were talking about. I didn't see it at first in the trailer. I was like, I mean, it's okay. He just regular built. I mean, he seems kind of strong, but I don't know, the in some shots he just didn't look I guess super imposing. He just kind of was there. Now I'm not saying he has to go all the way to like how Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth were built for their films. But I feel like you need like just a little bit of muscle. But I think that was more so apparent because he was mainly shirtless the whole film. I mean, even though when you had like T'Challa, for example, he wasn't like super built. Like when you compare him to Michael B. Jordan's like Killmonger, like T'Challa, he wasn't super muscular or anything, but you can still tell he was he was a fighter. But like I said, it might be a nitpick because like even with Shuri, she's the actress is pretty slender, and in the suit she also looked pretty slender, so she would definitely fight differently. Like her fighting as like a brute wouldn't make sense. She would fight more like a lot more agile, a lot like a Catwoman or something like that. So I think that's something they will have to work on as well. Yeah, I know I've been kind of bashing this film for about like 12-13 minutes now, but I guess I'd say something good about it as well. I mean, I think the soundtrack was really good still. M'Baku, he did pretty good as well in his role. He was still more so of a side character. They didn't totally destroy his character or anything in this movie, but I think every scene that he was in, he basically stole, like, and maybe that's what was missing, like the yin and the yang with the masculine and the feminine energy. How it was, I guess probably how it was done in Black Panther, like, because even though Black Panther, he was the main guy, he was surrounded by women for the most part, but then came to bats with like Killmonger and M'Baku and stuff like that. It was just like a balance all around, and they just did good with that. But in this one, it just felt like the whole movie they just wanted to tug on certain emotional strings rather than actually telling a good film with a good plot that actually makes sense for the story and makes sense for each character. I did think they did a good job with the the last scene where Shuri, she was what you call it, burning her funeral attire, and she had the flashbacks of T'Challa. Only problem is, I feel like that would have worked. This would have been a better film if that last scene was actually the first scene, and they did a homage as a Disney short. But if that last scene was the first scene, and then they told a movie from there, this probably would have been a lot better. And if you stayed for the post credit scene, that T'Challa has a son. It's a son by what was it? I think it was Nakia, which is played by Lupita. But apparently they had a son, and he's like 5 now. But they didn't say anything, not even to the aunt. Well, Angela Bassett's character, of course, who would be the grandmother, she knew, but that's it. For some reason, they didn't tell Shuri, which is a little weird. But yeah, but apparently, they knew that T'Challa was, sick, and he may pass away from this unknown virus that they never went into. And again, for some reason, they didn't tell Shuri as soon as they found out, so that she can already be working on a possible new herb or another cure well in advance, so he could, get over it. But she didn't find out anything until the last minute, and didn't find out that he had a son till after this whole movie happened. So that again, I really didn't like how they handled T'Challa's death in the beginning. Not saying it was a good scene, but I just don't think it was handled properly given the way that Chadwick passed away. I just didn't think that was. I don't think that was good. Some people may feel differently, and I definitely would understand that as well. That's definitely just my personal opinion on that, though. But I do wish they didn't name T'Challa's son like T'Challa. Like, I think that can get unnecessarily confusing. Like, you could have just named him what was his dad's name? T'Chaka. He could be Prince Prince T'Chaka. So it'll make it it'll differentiate it too, because now it just feels like y'all are pseudo recasting T'Challa by making it his son. When if you was just gonna do that, you might as well just got an adult to just play T'Challa, because he's not gonna be a teenager or an adult for like years to come. So I think that was just a lazy way to do that, in my opinion, though. But we already know this was going to be a hard task, and of course, this is no slight against the director Ryan Coogler. He's put out a lot of phenomenal films, and this was going to be a hard to do regardless. I don't think this one. Personally, I don't think he delivered on this one. I know the writers, they had to do a lot of rewriting to make this come into fruition in the first place, but yeah, I mean, of course, obviously, still as an audience, we do put our time and money into wanting to be entertained, and I just don't think this one. I don't think this one did it for me, and it does end the phase 4 of the MCU, and oof, it's been a rough phase for the MCU. If this may be the worst phase of the MCU so far. So I really don't know. I'm not as excited about these next phases. I'll probably still watch some of the content, maybe not every single piece of it. But yeah, I feel like the tide is definitely turning. But we'll definitely see what happens. Because there's some people on social media who said this movie was the masterpiece. I definitely don't think it was that. But wherever the side you fall, whether you think it's a great film, where you think or if you think it's a bad film, I definitely want to hear from you. I want to hear from you in the comments. Let me know what you think. And as always, make sure you try to keep it cordial. But what are you listening to me for anyway? I'm a casual. Cue the outro.